All right. Good evening. This is the time and the place for the meeting of the Board of Appeals of the City of Holland. We are here to respond to applications for construction, zoning variances, and/or special exceptions, housing, and dangerous structures. The board must try to interpret each application as it relates to city ordinances. This board is not empowered to rezone or to take any action that could be considered rezoning. Variances must meet 4 crucial tests in order to be granted. Those of you who are here for a variance have already answered questions about the tests on your application. We will be asking you about those answers again tonight. When your application is called, we ask that you come to the microphone to speak and state your name and address. We will hear the applicant first and anyone supporting the application, then anyone in opposition to it. Typically, we hold the public hearing on an application and then deliberate and decide on that application before moving on to the next application. You are welcome to stay for the deliberations, but there is no opportunity for further public comment. If you elect not to stay for your deliberation and for our deliberation and decision, you can call City Hall after 8:30 tomorrow morning to learn the results. We will hear applications in the order that they were submitted and appear on the agenda. With that said, will the clerk please read the first agenda item?
Yes, so 196 West 13th Street, it's 20.05H. Jesus and Amelia Rodriguez are requesting additional time to complete repairs at their home. Repairs were ordered by the Dangerous Structures Hearing Officer and the action was upheld by the Board of Appeals. The repairs were required to be completed by February 3 of 2020. The Housing Board of Appeals is authorized to grant the request if the health, welfare, and safety of the occupants of the affected property will not be compromised. This is from 14-4.3 and 19-3.
Thank you. I do not see the applicant here, but at this time, Dan, if you could, I believe you have a presentation with some information about this agenda item.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to go through and run the slideshow regarding this applicant when he went to the dangerous structures, just to refresh everyone's memory on the violations that are still waiting to be complied with. So let's take a look. We're talking about the property located at 96 West 13th Street. This is a view from the road. This is a photograph of the roof and the chimney. As you can see, the deterioration of the roof is pretty extensive. There's an additional photo of that. You can see in this case, the roof is even in worse condition on this side. You can also note that the eaves are constructed of wood and are peeling. The paint on them is peeling, and it's beginning to deteriorate. More pictures of the eaves here. Again, they are peeling and are deteriorated. This is a photograph of the chimney and the roof. As you can see, the chimney appears to be leaning to one side. This is a portion of the house that looked like it had some work done on it in the past, but the siding never got put back up. So that would have to be addressed. And that appears to be all.
Thank you, Dan. Have you visited the property recently, or
I have not visited the property recently, no.
Okay, anybody from the building?
No, we were given the indication by the applicant that nothing had been completed yet.
Okay.
Could you return to slide number 4, please? So what are we seeing here? Are those holes in the roof, or is that missing shingles? They just appear
It looks like it is some missing shingles and possibly some moss growing on the roof.
Okay. All right. Well, there is nobody here to represent this property at the meeting currently. Any questions from the board at this time? Then we will do a public hearing.
Do we need to read into the record the letter that he submitted to us?
I believe so, yes.
I can go ahead and do that.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
It was received February the 20th, 2020, to the Board of Appeals. The metal post that was bent, indicated a dash code violation, has been fixed today. 2-20-2020. The chimney work has been contracted, is expected to be completed before the first week of March 2020. Regarding the roof, I am still looking for financing and one more proposal. Thank you, Jesus Rodriguez.
Thank you. And, all right. I believe at this time we'll open the public hearing. And there's nobody here to speak in support. There's nobody here at all to speak in opposition. So I will thus close the public hearing. And we can move into deliberations on this agenda item. It's
Dan, could you review what the dangerous structures officer found that is in non-compliance or needs to be repaired in the house?
Just a moment. From a letter dated Thursday, October 10th, 2019, to Mr. Jesus Rodriguez. This is a portion of the letter. In order to achieve compliance with the sections noted, you are specifically ordered to take the following actions. Repair the house to be in good condition with no defects or deterioration. Included in that is tearing off and replacing the deteriorated roof. Repair the masonry chimney to be in good conditions with no gaps between the bricks and to be structurally stable. Repair or replace the rotted, damaged, or deteriorated eaves, trim, fascia, and soffit. Scrape, prime, and paint the eaves, trim, fascia, and soffit. Replace the missing and broken siding. New materials shall be of a matching material, color, and style to match the existing siding. And that is all.
Should we put in the record that the gentleman was here before and got an extension to this and what that time frame was?
You could make that point when you guys get to the point of making a motion, or at least part of that discussion.
I don't know, I for one don't know how to interpret the applicant being missing tonight. This obviously is a really important matter to him, and if he's been given explicit directions to be here and that we were going to be hearing his item at 6 o'clock tonight, I don't understand why he has not come, and I don't understand how we're supposed to interpret that. I view it quite negatively, personally, and unless he was confused about what his requirements were or his responsibilities.
Normally with applicants, they're given the date and the time of the meeting when they turn in their application. They're also in the area in which is under public hearing requirements is sent a written notice. And so he's been given notice. We don't normally call them the morning of or go out of our way to invite them here. It is their responsibility.
So was he sent a letter in the mail?
I believe he was.
I might be mistaken with my memory, but I seem to remember him not on time for the last meeting that, I might not be remembering that properly. Either way, I believe the applicant is asking for an extension of time. They're not asking for a specific amount of time, so we're here to deliberate the request for additional time to complete the repairs at their home. And again, they were supposed to have been completed back in, I want to say December? Well, okay, February 3rd, but we had given them a, we had heard this in November, gave them an extension of 60 days. Just recapping, jump in if I'm speaking out of line or my memory's spotty here. But we had already given an extension of 60 days up to February 3rd. We are authorized to grant an extension. If the health, welfare, and safety of the occupants will not be compromised. Looking at the roof and the chimney condition, although we've got written notice that he says that it's been contracted, we don't know who with. He's still looking for financing. Not sure if he's going to achieve financing or not. And his lack of appearance here today is not a positive view in my mind.
There's no way to verify the letter or the note that he sent on the 20th to see if the chimney was repaired. The other thing would be to see if, where he is at on the roof and what proposal he may or may not have with him. There's no way to verify any of this information.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
just a point of clarification. You've mentioned twice the November meeting. There was no meeting in November.
Oh,
This
thank
was
you.
the
December, thank you.
December 5 meeting.
Thank you for correcting me on that. I appreciate that. Yes, because we do not meet on Thanksgiving Day.
I was, in reviewing this application and the letter that he had written, I was willing to consider that granting an extension of time could possibly be due to unforeseen circumstances that this individual was facing. And I was willing to support granting that if he were able to show that, in fact, some of the progress that he's suggested he's made could be proven, and to bring that forward to the staff. And if he wasn't able to do that, then I guess I would like to propose something that we grant him an extension, but it has to be subject to his showing the proof that he has a contract for the roof, that his that the repairs that he said is made have in fact been made, and that he's seriously looking for insurance for his house so that he can have a contract to complete the rest of the work. Without that evidence, I don't think that I would be very supportive of granting an extension. And so I don't know if other board members agree with that approach, because we probably could fashion some kind of a recommendation or a motion to that effect.
I would agree, if we're able to do something such as that, where he's able to show some proof of some of the efforts, for example, contract with chimney work, seeing what quotes he does have for roofing, and looking into the financing issue. He still has siding, and it looks like on the PowerPoint, significant work on eastern fascia and soffit for repair and paint. I have several questions for Mr. Rodriguez, and I'm not sure how we're going to address those without him present.
And just as a point of clarification, we keep talking about Jesus, but Amelia is also a resident of the home, and she's not here either, correct? And they haven't sent a neighbor, family member, or a friend as a representative, or I guess legal counsel. So, yeah, I mean, I think that we could make a motion, but we can't without him having been here to present some evidence.
The other option is to table this application, rather than having him deal with staff, and then they have some ambiguity on how much progress is done and whatnot. We could set some very specific expectations for the next meeting, and then it would be very clear on your decision, because if those expectations are not met by the next meeting, specifically on estimates, showing financing, showing confirmation of all these things that we'd love to know, rather than setting the standard, having the staff look at it, and maybe having some gray or middle ground on it.
I can see that as a possibility, Dan, thank you. I also, thank you for reviewing that list from the dangerous hearing structure, or the dangerous hearing officer, because what he wrote to us, to consider tonight was, he fixed one bent post, and 2 other things are not done and still in progress.
And then a lot of other things that
There's
haven't
still-
even been started.
Right, and not even mentioned on this letter. I mean,
Right.
there was a long list going through that, reminding us of that, of the to-do list, and none of those other items were addressed with the missing siding and the soffit and the eaves. And I'm not sure that granting an extension of time will satisfy the spirit of the requirement.
Well, right,
So-
sometimes that spirit is hard to pin down, but you can definitely get you can get some confirmation to yourself if he was standing here and providing you with some real feedback, eye-to-eye contact, and saying, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm doing. Without that, it's very difficult to issue an approval based on the spirit.
So if we're able to table this, would that be till next month?
That's correct.
I don't know, is there a way for us to determine if the safety of the public and of the applicant, if that can be preserved and be okay? I'm okay tabling this till we can ask Mr. Rodriguez some questions. And then in that time, we can make sure he's abundantly clear on what exactly it is that we need him to do.
Well, and I think it's also a possibility, and maybe council can let us know. You could be very specific on each one of these items and say, this is what we expect from you to even consider an extension of time.
Okay.
Either come in here next month and be complete, or the chimney would be complete based on the assumptions that he's given us. And then kind of cover the siding, the eaves, and the roof at that point too. I would be very specific in if you make a motion to table, have those details in there. We can lay out his plan of action, and then it would be a lot easier if that doesn't get performed at the next meeting to just say, hey, we bent, but we're not breaking.
I think that sounds pretty reasonable, to take that approach. I mean, I'm still thinking that there could be a reason why he's not here. He could have gotten very ill.
Mm-hmm.
He could lack the ability to communicate. He may not have a phone. I mean, we can't lower the boom on him with all these assumptions that he's a healthy person who's just decided not to come.
Yeah, we can't grant something without having some issues resolved, and to take the other extreme to say, hey, we've got to close this without any feedback at all would be a very harsh move for us at this point. So I would also look into the granting of the tabling this with the specifics to say, okay, how about in March, come back with some things, and I think we need to discuss what those things are, but come back in March with these types of proposals, a photo that the chimney's been done, see, some type of work on the siding as well. I don't know. I'm just
Yeah,
I
and
think
you're trying
we need
to,
discuss those more, but.
and you're trying to achieve some form of good faith.
Right.
That's what this is based on, though. These extensions for these type of situations, it's not really black and white, so you do kind of work a little bit in the gray. And working with the goodwill, it's got to be a two-way street.
Yes.
But you also have to remember that you're setting precedent here. So it's very wise counsel there that you have very specifics, because if you don't, if you just grant an extension, people out there are gonna hear, I just got free 30 days. I don't show up, I've got a free 30-day pass. So if you put the restrictions in there, your precedent is set, that yes, you can do that. However, there are rules and regulations and restrictions that go with that we're gonna have to answer to. You don't just get a 30-day free pass. I'm not trying to play a lawyer here, Vince, it's.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that it does kind of seem harsh, but we have granted a 60-day extension. It is imperative that he be here, and, or he or his wife be here, but that they are not here to give representation, and they haven't sent anybody in their place either. So, I mean, it seems to me that we would be, in effect, giving him a 30-day extension by default of him not even showing up. Whereas him or Amelia or some representative of him not showing up is a prerequisite for denying such an application in this case. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Well, that all said, then is somebody prepared to make a motion with some details and specifics?
Let me think through that here for a minute.
Well, I'll give it a shot. I'd like to make a motion to table the application for a variance of the extension that has been given for 30 days or until the next Board of Appeals meeting, with the understanding that the applicant at that meeting will provide evidence to us on the fact that the roof has been replaced or is under contract, that the missing siding has either been repaired or is under contract, that the masonry chimney has been repaired according to his letter, and that the eaves have been replaced and repaired or are under specific contract. And the evidence of that has to be presented to the board at their next meeting, or this will be denied and we'll return it.
To clarify, eaves, trim, fascia, and soffit.
Okay, I'll accept that friendly amendment.
And on that, show proof, as in come in with names and contract,
Actual contracts, the
Right.
physical document contracts that
Right.
this work is underway or that the work has been completed. Does that satisfy?
Yeah, I think that's where we were headed with it. We want, and it was nice that you were clear about it being a contract and not an estimate.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yes.
Is there anything that we left off from the dangerous goods that needs to be added to that?
The list of things.
Did we address financing?
Well, the financing, he would have to have a
I
contract.
think we covered it. It's shown as 4, but it's really 3. Tear off and replace the roof, repair the chimney, repair rotted, damaged, deteriorated eaves, scrape paint, the eaves, trim, and fascia. So repair and repaint would cover the eaves, soffit, and fascia, and then replace the broken or missing siding.
I would second that motion that we grant table this until the next Board of Appeals meeting.
I'm not sure if we need to have any other further discussion on this. Anyone? Then I believe we'll take a roll call vote on this.
All right, so the motion is to table Van Antwerp,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Fusick,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Sorek.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. All right. And as we move through the agenda, we don't have any unfinished business. I don't believe we have any new business to discuss.
No, do we have any minutes to review for
We
this?
do have minutes. Yes. So, I guess, any discussion on the approval of the minutes? Not seeing any, then all in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The minutes have been approved, and our next meeting date, which is important for our previous motion, is Tuesday, March 26th,
Thursday.
2020.
Thursday.
Excuse me, Thursday. I'm reading small print. Thursday, March 26th, 2020 at 6 p.m. And now I believe I'm looking for one more motion.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Thank you. All right. And we are adjourned.